In 2015, I had chronic back pain, was partying till sunrise every weekend, and my self-worth was in the toilet. In 2025, I live in an unshakable sense of well-being. Only leave my home to exercise and see myself as a walking miracle. But wait, don't sound the narcissist alarm just yet. I see everyone else as a walking miracle too. My name is Dan Goldfield. I was given teaching lineage to the Buddha in 2018, but I'm not Buddhist, and nor was the Buddha. I'm here to teach you to realize natural, effortless happiness, which, fortunately, transcends religion, culture, and philosophy. The chances of you being here, hearing or reading these words right now, are roughly 1 in 1 septillion. That's 1,000,000 times 1,000,000 times 1,000,000 times 1,000,000. If you took all the grains of sand on the earth, then multiplied them by every star in the observable universe, you'd still be short of a septillion. And yet, unless you've deeply contemplated this matter already, you almost certainly waste time on things that don't matter. I'm not talking about watching a little Netflix in the evening. We all need rest. I'm talking rather about what you do with the best hours of your days. The hours when you peak in energy, focus, and faculty. What are you doing with that time? And how much of it do you have left? If you're working a job you dislike, you're undervaluing your humanity. If you're with a partner you settled for, you're undervaluing your humanity. If you're not contemplating and or moving toward the greatest contribution you might make to the world, you're undervaluing your humanity. But it's not your fault. It's ordinary to take things for granted. If you didn't, you'd be pretty useless, staring at things in bewilderment, like a newborn baby. The question is, have you gone too far? In learning to be a functioning member of society, have you forgotten the wonder of simply being? If you're like most people, the answer is yes. In which case, I encourage you to consider what you might gain from reconsidering the cosmic privilege you find yourself in. As a human being, you have the power to understand and think about things. Insects can't do this, and they way outnumber you. The chances of being born an insect are way higher. Then you'd just be buzzing around on instinct for a few days, desperate to find food, desperate to procreate, desperate to avoid danger, but ultimately getting swatted, eaten by a bigger insect, or, if you were lucky, just curling up in a ball and drying up on someone's windowsill. Among the billion, trillion insects that have ever lived, not one has escaped this fate. Now, you may think that things aren't so different for humans. We're pretty desperate for safety, food, and sex too, right? And we die too, right? For most of us, this is true. If you work that job you dislike, if you're with that partner you settled for, if you have no sense of purpose, you are somewhat like the insect. But if you indulge in self-destructive behaviors, you may be even worse off than the insect. Indeed, overindulgence, addiction, and abuse are hells that the insect will never know. Remorse at the end of one's life for squandering it is a hell that the insect will never know. But your ability to create these hells is part of a 2-for-1 special. Because by those same faculties you use to create hell, you can also create heaven. But that's not the full extent of your power. By looking deeply into your experience, you can see that your hells and heavens are indeed created, fabricated, contrived, made up. Now you've transcended even humanity. You've awakened. And in doing so, you realize a natural, profound well-being that depends upon nothing and is therefore unshakable. Now, self-destructive behaviors seem absurd. Striving for more or better, even in terms of spiritual progress, seems absurd. You realize that everything is perfect, just as it is. The grand kaleidoscopic pattern of nature. You transcend the notion of good and bad existing in some absolute sense. But don't worry, this doesn't mean you end up eating dog food. This begins with recognition of the scope of the cosmic privilege of being human, being able to contemplate all of this, being able to realize. If all of this sounds ambitious to you, begin simply with appreciating that you can choose to take a deep breath instead of reacting in anger to that annoying colleague, and that in doing so, you save yourself trouble. Furthermore, acknowledge the extra privilege of A, encountering what I've said here, and B, having time to contemplate it. There are countless millions of people who, even in 2025, must give all of their time to finding food, fighting wars, or avoiding the eye of a tyrannical government. It's not impossible that you and I could end up in that situation, where I can no longer share this teaching with you, and you can no longer receive it. To remind yourself of all of this, I recommend recalling this simple phrase: precious life of freedom and opportunity. Precious life of freedom and opportunity. It is this life that brings you to the table. It is your freedom by which you pick up the cutlery. It is this opportunity that sets the meal in front of you. Be grateful. Eat and be nourished. If you have a question you'd like me to answer in one of these videos, drop me a comment. If you liked this teaching, give it a like. If you want more teachings, subscribe. And if what you heard here resonated deeply, click the notification bell. I upload every single day. I hope to see you again tomorrow.